Good morning, guys. So this is the plums I talked about on Saturday that I'm going to color, and parts of it I'm going to blend with nail polish remover as I showed you last Saturday. But first, let's talk about mistakes we all made when we started with coloring pencils. Now, the first mistake all of us, literally all of us, made was to hold our pencils too far close to the tip. What happens then is that you color in very streaky because the movement of your hand is limited to only your fingers, and it takes forever to color in large areas because you can move only a small part of your hand. You can't block in large areas, so it makes coloring in more difficult. All right, so what do? First of all, hold the pencil further back. Even when you hold it like this instead of flat, it's much easier to color in larger areas. And it is possible to color in like in this position without making streaks. All you need to do is you need to learn how to control the pressure you put on your pencil. Of course, the best way is flat so that you have more of the I can't really call it graphite, but let's say graphite. And then you can also hold it at the front for small areas or further back for large areas, to block in large areas. This is why it was so important to learn how to control your pencils. Remember when we did pencil drawing? This is why this was important. Even with brushes, these grips on your pencils and the ability to press softer and harder gradually instead of all at once, because that's another mistake most of us make in the beginning, is we either press too hard when we color in, or we press so soft that you can barely see it. The problem with both these is that you need both of these, but you also need the in-between. The in-between values. And besides that, the other problem is if you only use the very hard pressure or the very light pressure, your picture looks flat because you don't have these in-between values. All right. Now, the third mistake that all of us make when we start out is that we want to, I'm going to hold my pencil flat now for this one. We want to get the right value of the color in an instant. We're impatient. Instead of waiting and having patience and layering. So this is what happens. We get this edge. From shadow to non-shadow, we get this edge because we're impatient. An easy way to get rid of that edge is by layering. Let's take more or less the same shape. And now we layer. Because we need to learn how to blend the shadows and the non-shadows and different colors without this edge. That's one of the main reasons why we layer, and why it's important to have control over the pressure of your pencil, because here I can press pretty hard. This is pretty much the center of the shadow, see? But then it has to taper out as it moves towards the highlighter, the lighter parts. And it needs to blend seamlessly, not have an edge like that. Let's do it with two different colors. Let's say this part is orange. And you see I'm layering. All right, now let's add blue here. Now I'm going to start blending them in the lighter layers. I'm not going to leave it until it's too dark or I have darker layers before I start blending them, because I want them to blend seamlessly. Now here's where the patience come in. You must have the patience to blend layer upon layer upon layer to make this seamless transition between the two colors. And you need to practice this. I know this is only color pencils, but you still need to practice this. If you want to do paintings properly, realistically, you need to practice this. If you want to do illustrations properly, you need to practice this, because this is probably one of the most important skills to have, techniques to have when you work with color. Okay, now let's say the blue, it actually looks more violet from where I sit. See, now I soften that edge it made there. I just soften it a little bit. And you can see that the two colors blend into each other seamlessly. See, patience. Right. So I've got my plum picture, and we're going to start working on this one. I'm not going to talk much now. I've showed you the mistakes and how to correct and not do the mistakes, and I've showed you on Saturday how to blend with the nail polish remover. I'm not going to use the nail polish remover everywhere. There's a little part of texture here that I'm not going to use it on, as well as around here, I think. If I remember correctly, I'm not going to use it there. I'm mostly going to use it on the round plums because they are smooth. That's where I want to use it. I'm not going to use it on the leaves either, because they are a bit textured. Alrighty. Alright, so first of all, let's test our colors. I want to make it as realistic as I possibly can, so I'm going to use white for the veins on the leaves to help, because they're very fine and I don't want to draw over them. So to help me with that, I'm going to use white. Then for the lighter parts in the leaves, I'm going to use a light yellowy green, like a sap green. And then for the dark parts on the leaves, I'm going to use this dark bottle green. It's a bluish green. Alright, so that's for the leaves. Let me show you closer so you can properly see the colors. There you go. And now for the for that wedge of plum, I'm going to use a pretty dark orange, a little bit of an orange red, Let's check this one. Yes, an orangey red. And I want a lighter orange. Let me see if I've got one. Yeah. Well, it's a yellow orange. A yellow orange, and I want a very light yellow like this one. This is for that wedge, this part here. Alrighty, so there's the colors. It's an orangey red, a vermilion orange, a orangey yellow. You can use yellow ochre here for the orangey yellow. I didn't see my yellow ochre, that's why I grabbed another one. And a very pale yellow. So 4 colors for this wedge here. Alright, now for the actual plums, we're going to use that same orangey red, the vermilion, and we're going to use a lighter orange, the actual orange, and we're going to use a vermilion, but oh no, this is a pinker, this is more like a crimson. This one a crimson and a darker version of a crimson. This is more a plum color actually. So these are going to be for the highlights areas, and this, and I've got a very reddish brown that I want to use for the shadow parts. This is the rust red burnt sienna brown that I want to use for the shadow bits, and that's pretty much it. I'm going to add a little bit of lilac purple for this shadow parts here. I can see some lilac on this one there, and here at the front, and the one at the back there seems to be a little bit of lilac there, and the one, that one at the top, there's a bit of lilac. You have to try to look through the colors to get to these subtle colors hiding in them. Alright, so this is the colors that I'm going to use. Let me bring it closer for you to see those ones. See, there's the vermilion. No, that's the vermilion. That's the pink, crimson red, that one. That's the plum red, the burnt sienna brown, and here's the orange and the yellow orange. Alrighty, so I'm gonna get started now. Okay. Alright, so I've already added the white veins. What I'm doing now is I'm starting to work on the dark parts. And you will see that I'm pressing very lightly on my pencil. It's easier to press light on your pencil when you hold the pencil further back from the tip in any position. The farther back from the tip you hold it, the better. I'm not going to try to achieve super realism here. That will take ages. I just want it to be as realistic as possible. Do you see that I'm layering? And I'm checking very carefully where there's even the slightest suggestion of a darker green. Alrighty, Now I can add the light green and blend it into the dark green seamlessly. You'll see that the white veins that I lay down first is really helping, because the green doesn't stick there. It's like I drew the veins with wax. It actually helps a lot to preserve the veins. Alright, while I'm with the light green, I'm going to press a little bit harder, so you'll see that immediately I held the pencil further to the front, but I don't want to limit my movements too much by holding it right at the tip. Then I limit my movements extremely. So just a little bit more to the front, so that I have, because this leaf is pretty small, so I want better control in a tight space, but I still want a little bit of freedom of movement. See, that's why I'm not holding it right at the tip, but instead I'm holding it not too far back, because I don't want to, this little spot here is too tight for holding the pencil too far back, so only a little bit back. Okay, so the leaves are done. So now I'm going to work from back to front. Not the top of the, well, technically it is the top of the page to the bottom of the page. But what I mean is I'm going to work at the plum at the back of all of the others first. Now the first thing I notice is this highlight that sits round about here. I'm going to work around that. Okay, so I'm going to start with the lightest. No, let's start with the darkest part, the almost darkest part. Let's start with this burnt sienna color, and you will see that I'm starting with very, very, very light pressure in circular movements, using circular movements all the time. You know what, I made a mistake around about here, but we'll get to that. Okay, let's finish this first. Here's the reason. Because there are lighter areas here that I forgot about. There's a kind of a highlight right there at the back there. And then there's a lighter area all the way down here. Now see, if I pressed any harder, I couldn't lift all of this off, and I will show you close up just now that I can't lift all of it off. This is colored pencil. You can never erase all of it. There's another little highlight there that I kind of kept. Let me show you close up. You see, you can never ever erase. Why is this thing throwing such a huge shadow here? You can never erase. Maybe it's the light. Let me move the light. It's not the light either. I do not know what's happening here. Anyway, you can never erase all of it. You see, some of it sticks. But you can lift off most of it if you press really light. Alright. Oh, it's only when I come so close that there's a shadow. See here on my hand? If I come really close, there's a shadow. Okay. Well, I hope you saw what I wanted to show you. Right, so now I'm going to start with these light areas so that I don't forget about them later. And what I'm doing is I'm blending the yellow into the burnt sienna, so next time I know where the lighter areas are. And I'm still working very, very light pressure. Barely pressing on the pencil. I'm basically just letting the pencil touch the page. There's a light area there as well. Alright, I'm ready to start really layering. Now you will see that in some places the colors overlap each other, they are on top of each other, and in other places one color kind of sticks out from beneath one of the others. Okay, so I've done the entire plum. I've added the purple in some of the darker shadowy places. And what I'm going to do before I blend with the nail polish remover is to just go over this highlight with white, so that I'm sure that the colors here will blend properly. Okay, now here we go. Let's hope for the best and hope that I don't mess up the entire thing now. Okay, so this time, because I have to get into tiny corners here, I'm using a brush, a sharp point round brush, and the key is to don't start at the dark parts, start from the lightest parts and work your way out towards the darker parts. Okay, I think that's how far I'm gonna get for today. I will continue with this tomorrow. And yeah, because I think because as I said, I want it to be realistic, so I have to take my time Work slowly to get it right, because the moment you start rushing, you make mistakes. Alrighty guys, enjoy your day. See you not tomorrow, on Thursday. Bye.